So hello, welcome back to our channel. So today we are going to continue our CompTIA Security Plus series. So before that, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like our video. So today we are going to talk about threat actors and attack vectors. This is one of the most tested area of domain number 1 in the CompTIA Security Plus examination. And in case of threat actors and attack vectors, think as attack threat actors as the attackers and attack vector are the roads they use to get in. If you understand these both, you will be able to predict, detect and stop these attacks, both in the exams and in real world scenarios as well. So let's first understand the threat actors. In cybersecurity, not all attackers are the same. This exam divides them into categories based on skill, resources and motivation. First, let's discuss about the script kiddies. So these are low skilled individuals who download tools or scripts from the internet. They really don't know that how these exploits works, but they still use them. The second is the hacktivist. The hacktivists are the hackers with a political or social agenda. They are driven by political or social causes. They deface websites, leak documents, or takes down the services to make a statement. Okay. So when we think about the nation state actors, these are sponsored by governments. They are well funded because they are sponsored by governments. They are highly skilled and they often use advanced threat tools. For example, you have might have heard that the Iran's nuclear program was hit by hackers and they disturb they meaning they used distributed denial of service attacks on the Iran's nuclear program. So these hackers are called as nation state actors. When we think about the insiders, these are insider threats, meaning employees, contractors, or vendors with a legitimate access. They may leak data intentionally or accidentally. In both the cases, they are termed as insider threats. When we think about organized crime, these are professional cyber criminal groups. Their main goal is money. They run ransomware operation, steal credit card data, or sell credentials on dark webs. Example, the Conti ransomware group. So, by name, you could easily think as organized crime are the criminals who work for the money. So, when we think about the motivations, the main motivation here is a financial gain, extortion, fraud, data sales, or direct theft. So, what motivates these attackers is the key because the exam often pairs attackers with the reason. For example, when we think about script kiddie, they do these things for fun, curiosity, etc. When you think about political, they do these things due to political or social causes. National state actors due to national security, cyber warfare, etc. And insiders, meaning former employees, current employees, they might have motivation behind like revenge, negligence, or financial gains as well. When we think about organized crime, their main motive is always money, often through fraud or ransomware. And we think about the exam, the pro tip is if you see a question about an attack that looks advanced and well funded, then it is used is nation states. And we think when the money is involved, then the answer relies on organized crime. Hope you got it. In this series, I will also be solving lot of questions. Some of them might be actually be asked into the CompTIA Security Plus examination. So I advise you to follow our full CompTIA Security Plus playlist to get a better overview and a better preparation. When we think about attack vectors, now let's talk about attack vectors. So there are many common categories like email attacks, web application attacks, network attacks, supply chain attacks. As I previously told you that the attack vectors are the route through which hacker or attackers get it into. So when we think about the email, the number one vector in real life is phishing, spear phishing, or the malicious attachments. When you think about web application attacks, these includes SQL injection, cross-site scripting, broken authentication, and in many times the developer neglect these things. And in real world, these common attack vectors often we found on a internet. When you think about network attacks, denial of service, distributed denial of service, man in middle. When you think about this man in middle and DDoS, in the perspective of exam, these are the most important one. When we think about supply chain, it is also important as in the supply chain, exploiting third-party software, vendors, or updates. Example, the solar winds hack in 2020, where attackers compromised a software update to inflate thousands of organizations' computers. So, this is also one of the main common attack vectors, supply chain. So now we will study the phishing to ransomware case study. So in the first part, we will study initial vector, where we receive a particular phishing email disguised as an urgent HR update. When this bypasses spam filters and unsuspecting employee clicks a malicious link downloading malware. In the third part, the malware is actually downloaded and it is executed, encrypting critical company files and displaying a ransomware note. In the ransomware note, basically all our data as well as systems are encrypted and we will not be able to use them during this attack. In return, they ask us many times cryptocurrencies, money, etc. And what is the main impact is operations are halted, data access is lost because ransomware encrypts all our files, so the organization will not be able to access any of its systems. So the organization faces significant financial and reputational loss. So in this case study, we need to look into the layers. First layer is initial vector, as in first case we bypassed spam filters. In the second one, we unsuspecting employee, meaning whenever the employee is not well trained, the employee might click on a email address and the email was basically embedded with the payload. So whenever the person will click on the email, in the background, the email, the link will start to downloading the malware. And as soon as the malware gets into our system, it gets executed and this encrypts all our data. So this is the real world case study. So now we will be expanding on attack vectors like malware and social engineering. As I asked you, what is the malware? So malware is of many types. First type is virus. Virus is a self-replicating code attached to legitimate programs. So the virus is self-replicating code, but viruses needs an trigger point, meaning we should either execute the viruses or it is disguised as something else and we execute that particular file. Then whenever it is get executed, it will start replicating code, and within few seconds this virus will be all around our system infecting it. When we think about the worms, these are self-propagating independent malicious programs. For example, as I mentioned you, viruses need an execution. The worms don't. Whenever it will get into our system, it will start self-propagating independently. Also, this is the main difference between viruses and worms. When we think about trojans, it is disguised as a legitimate software performs malicious actions. For example, whenever we download any of the pirated softwares from the internet, some of these softwares are disguised as a legitimate softwares, but they include trojans. In the trojans, In the outer side, it looks like a legitimate software, but inside there are many viruses, worms are present. So whenever we run this malicious software, the trojans gets installed into our system, giving direct access to the attackers. When we think about rootkits, rootkits is a basically new term where the hackers, attacker, or national state actors hides the presence of malware and maintains access. In the rootkits, the attackers get our all the data. For example, if the rootkit is insta- installed on our system, then all the data, meaning all the messages, all the outgoing traffic will go through these rootkits, and the attackers will be able to see what we are chatting, what we are doing, everything. So I think you could have just think about or heard about the Pegasus software. So this is also rootkit, and in the adware or spyware. So whenever we go on any website which is not having any kind of security certifications, these adware spywares might get installed into our systems, which increases the flow of unwanted ads as well as data collection. From data, they will show us more relevant ads. So these are the types of malwares. When we think about social engineering, so social engineering, the first type is pretexting. Pretexting meaning creating a fabricated scenario to obtain information. Okay. In the pretexting, simple term is we show, meaning attacker shows us that he knows something, and he tells the something he have gathered information from web, internet, etc. And whenever the user will think, okay, so he knows this particular thing, so he might know extra as well, and he then gives the information. So this is pretexting, meaning giving just little bit information and getting back a lot of information. Okay. So baiting is luring victims with enticing offers, example free downloads. In baiting meaning the emails, messages many times contains okay 95% off, 99% off. So this comes in betting. Okay. The third is quid pro quo. So offering a service benefit in exchange for information. So this might comes into the, not might, it comes into the honey trap. Meaning in the honey trap, the person is lured by the woman or the female person or the men as well, in context of like okay I love you, that kind of scenario. And here as well, so here they might ask you okay, so reveal this particular information and in return we will give you free trip, etc, etc. The tailgating and piggybacking is gaining unauthorized access by following someone. So in the tailgating, you basically know that someone is following you. Okay. And in piggybacking, you are not aware that somebody is following you. And in many physical, let's suppose that you are in office where the card is required to get the access. In tailgating, whenever you will give your card for the authentication, the two people will directly go into the office, right? And in piggybacking, you will be just a normal person. You will go, you will tap, and you just move forward. And in piggybacking, the somebody, as long as you just click onto the system, you pass. He will also come by you. You will be not be knowing. This is piggybacking. In tailgating, you know, okay, somebody is coming with you. Okay. So in the impersonation is pretending to be someone else to gain trust. For example, you might receive an email saying, okay, so I am CEO and I am stuck at airport. Can you send me $500? My card is not working. So this comes in impersonation, meaning pretending to be someone else. So for the exam tips, remember you will be having known actors problem, meaning know your actors. So you need to solve at least some amount of questions on this understanding threat actors. as a there will be very easy questions, as just to listen to my videos and make notes if possible, then you will be easily be cracking the exam. Okay. So in vector methoding, understand which specific attack method falls under each vector. In the CompTIA Security examination, you don't need to have lot of knowledge about penetration testing or the attacks. The questions will be very easy. As we will just move forward. It will be more than enough you to crack the exam, and we are also going to solve a lot of problems. So I guarantee you that you will ace this exam surely. So scenario analysis, yes, whenever you are solving or whenever you are listening, so remember the main questions will be on scenario based. For example, they will give you a particular attack and ask you to identify, okay, the attacker or the what was the attack vector, meaning the from which like web applications or the social engineering, from which road they came, okay, and what was the motivation behind it. These are the scenario analysis. The fourth one is key terminologies. So key terminologies meaning the definitions. So as I told you, this all like malware, what is viruses, what is worm. So these are the definitions that you should know, and we will also solve a lot of questions so that you will also understood this all the scenarios and definitions within it. Okay. So now we will go to the cyber kill chain. So this is very important, and this will also be asked into your interviews for the job as well. So let's start with reconnaissance. So reconnaissance is gathering information. Whenever we want to attack or the perform the penetration testing, the first step everywhere is same reconnaissance, that is gathering more information. Okay. The second is weaponization. As you know, we have the information about the target, then we can weaponize it. As for example, as we know, the particular system that we want to attack uses the software which is outdated, then we can use the weapon, meaning the exploit, which will exploit that particular old generation system. Okay. Second is delivery. As we have information, we have right exploit and backdoor to deploy. So third is delivery. While transmitting these payloads, the delivery might be an email address or the physical delivery as well. Physical delivery meaning the pen drive. Okay. Fourth is exploitation. Weapons code triggering to exploit vulnerabilities. As I mentioned, for the viruses and lot of malwares, first we need to have an execution happen. So this is exploitation. Whenever, like for example, we have had all the information about target, we made the weapon, meaning we choose our exploit, the backdoor, etc. Then for the delivery, we disguise it as a legitimate software and deliver it to the our target. And when our target clicks or try to execute that particular malicious software, then our malware gets installed. And whenever malware gets installed, as I we have given it a backdoor, so we also get the backdoor, meaning we also get the access to the particular system. And when we get the access to our target, then we move to the kill chain kill chain part 6, meaning command and control, meaning we are now will be able to remotely control that particular system that we just have in short hacked, or our malware got installed with the backdoor. And in 7, whenever we achieve the command and control, we could easily do whatever we want. If we want the data, then we could use the data exploitation, meaning we could take the data out. If we want that to be permanently shut down, we could destroy data, we could destroy the entire system as well. So this is cyber children. Always remember. First is reconnaissance, second is weaponization. Weaponization meaning the choosing the exploit and backdoor. Third is delivery. Fourth, after the delivery, we need exploitation. After the exploitation, the installation, then command and control, and after that, actions on the objective. So these are the seven kill chain framework that we need to understand. Okay. So in the threat in intelligence, so this is mainly used by companies so that they are aware of the threats. Threat intelligence is processed and refined information about potential and correct threats to an organization. It helps in proactively identifying, preventing, and mitigating cyber attacks. As I mentioned, threat intelligence is mainly run by companies to identify, prevent, and mitigating cyber attacks. So, what happens is whenever new zero day meaning new exploit or the new bug that before have been never been found. Okay, so whenever a 0 day exploit is found, so what companies do? Companies assign it a CV so that other companies will know. They document that how this exploit works, how this is exploited, and how we could safeguard our systems. So this total process of documenting, then identifying, then how to prevent this is called a threat intelligence. So in the threat intelligence itself, first is strategy, high level insights into attacker capabilities and intention. So many times, as I mentioned, for example, the nation sponsored nation state attackers have lot of resources. So the other nations, other countries first need to have high level insights into the enemy's systems or the capabilities. When we think about operational information about specific attack campaigns and methods, the attackers like nation state attackers have lot of funding, so their enemies also have lot of funding. So their main goal in this threat intelligence is to find about specific attack campaigns and methods, how they basically make a union. Okay, for example, European Union. In the European Union itself, there are like 30 plus countries where they have made the threat intelligence, meaning if a cyber attack happens on Spain, it will also share that information with the France. So the France will have high level insights into attacker capabilities and intentions. Also, they have information about specific attack campaigns and methods. And in this all, the tactic details on tools, techniques, procedures used by attackers. So as I given the example of Spain, so the for example, if cyber cyber attacks happens on a Spain's nuclear reactors, then it will share all the data to the world, telling okay, these are the tools that our attackers are using to attack on our nuclear power plants. These are the procedures that they are using, or these are the procedures that we should use to mitigate these attacks. In the last, there are technical indicators of compromise like malicious IP addresses or the file hashes. I will tell you. Okay. So, as you mentioned, as I mentioned that sometimes the malware attacks are hide their presence to other malwares and maintain their access, meaning rootkeys, trojans, viruses. There is a lot of types. Okay, so in short, what I mean to say that if even if our procedures, our uh, capabilities are high, sometimes whenever they get installed, it requires lot of time and effort to identify if our systems are got actually been attacked by enemy or not. So in this case, we use the malicious IP addresses and file hashes. How malicious IP addresses? So for example, you are in India, and whenever you think okay, so in India, whenever we think the log, and the logs are showing that okay, so the log IP addresses are showing some of the traffic coming from the Pakistan. So it means that okay, so these are the malicious IPs. Why? Because our organization is in India, then why the traffic is coming from Pakistan? Okay, so this type. And when you think about the file hashes, so whenever we give any amount of data or the file which is containing data, so it is automatically get the hash using hashing algorithms like MD5. And even a small change in data or even a letters will change the total MD hash. So what we do, we took the nodes or we took the hashes and make the backup, and whenever we run or whenever we check the hashes of our current files, and if they are not matching, so this might be the indicators of compromise. So these are the indicators. So that's it for today's video. Now we will move towards the domain 2. You can watch our all the previous videos on domain 1, and soon we will be start our practice exams as well. So thank you so much. See you in next video.